Hey, Days of Our Lives fans. We have got your early weekly spoilers for the week of June 15th through the 19th, and honestly, this is a packed 2 weeks because the fallout from some majorly bad decisions is about to hit Salem like a freight train. We are talking Stephanie Johnson dealing with the consequences of nearly shooting Alex's baby mama, Roman Brady absolutely losing it on Kate for lying straight to his face for weeks, and a whole web of secrets, confrontations, and unexpected kisses that are going to keep things moving at a seriously fast pace. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt. And before we get into everything coming up next week, please click that subscribe button if you're not already following us. You do not want to be catching up on this one late. Alright, as we always do on Early Edition Day, we start with wrapping up the rest of this week first, and then we dive headfirst into all of the good stuff coming the week of June 15th. So let's go. Starting with Wednesday, June 11th, we are picking right back up from where Tuesday left off because Stephanie just fired a shot at Joy and now Salem is about to deal with all of the chaos that comes with that. So here is what happened. Stephanie came back from Asia completely jet-lagged, and it looks like she may have taken something to help her sleep, possibly an Ambien situation, and she laid down for a nap with her gun unlocked and loaded and within arm's reach. And then she woke up disoriented and she fired. Now, Joy is not dead. We have got more story coming for her, so we know she survived this, but Joy is absolutely going to be shocked and terrified, and honestly, who could blame her? You show up at your baby daddy's apartment to talk about co-parenting arrangements, and you nearly get shot through the hallway. That is not the welcome anybody expects. And, of course, Jada is going to get involved because you cannot fire a gun in an apartment building without the police showing up, and Jada lives right across the hall. There is a real possibility that bullet actually made it through the wall and into Jada's space, which would make this even more of a mess legally and personally for Stephanie. Jada is not going to be able to just look the other way on this one, no matter how much she cares about Stephanie. A gun was discharged. There are going to be official consequences. Now, Alex is going to be horrified, and I think that is completely fair and understandable. Because here is the thing that nobody is saying out loud, but everybody is thinking, what if Kelsey had been there with Joy when this happened? What if the baby was in that hallway? That bullet going astray is the only reason this is not a catastrophic tragedy right now, and Alex is smart enough to understand how close things came to being absolutely irreversible. I said it before, and I will say it again. Alex moved way too fast giving Joy a key to that apartment. And he should have had a private conversation with Stephanie before he made that offer, because springing that kind of thing on your partner without a heads up is a recipe for exactly this kind of emotional volatility. Not that Stephanie pulling a trigger on an Ambien-induced half-sleep is Alex's fault, but the situation did not need any additional tension layered on top of it. And from a gun safety standpoint, Steve Johnson is going to have some very strong feelings about all of this. Steve raised Stephanie. Steve is a trained operative. Steve has rules about firearms, and Stephanie clearly did not follow a single one of them. You do not sleep with a loaded gun within grabbing distance when you are disoriented and exhausted and possibly medicated. That is just basic. So when Steve finds out exactly what happened, I think there is going to be a whole separate conversation about that gun and whether Stephanie should have it at all right now. Also on Wednesday, Leo is warning Gwen to be careful, and I think we all know what that is really about. Gwen may have circled back with the information EJ gave her about Xander and Kristen, and maybe she has convinced herself it was nothing, that it turned out to be innocent, that there is a perfectly reasonable explanation. And Leo, who yes, did her very dirty by carrying on with her husband behind her back, is not willing to let Gwen walk into another betrayal completely blindfolded. Whatever his sins against her, Leo does care about Gwen in his own messy, complicated way, and he is not going to stand by and watch her be naive about Xander and Kristen without at least saying something. Whether Gwen actually listens is another question entirely. We also have Amy having a heart-to-heart with Melinda on Wednesday, and this one feels emotionally significant because Amy is still carrying a tremendous amount of grief and rage over Sophia's death, and she wants vengeance. She is not ready to let this go. And I think Melinda, who has her own long history of letting the need for justice consume everything around it, might actually be the one to pump the brakes here and tell Amy to focus on grieving before she does something she cannot undo. That would be an interesting reversal for Melinda, and it could be a really good scene if the show gives it room to breathe. Jada and Sean are getting much closer this week too. They've got a date at Small Bar and Jada is definitely giving off some warm energy around Sean. A kiss feels like it is right around the corner for these two. And over at the dojo, Tate and Holly are getting romantic in their own way, working through some tension with what looks like karate training or something physical. They're cute together right now, but we know things are going to go sideways for Holly soon, so enjoy the sweetness while it lasts. Thursday, June 12th. Paulina is going to extremes for Chanel, and given where Chanel's story is right now with her breast cancer diagnosis, I think this is Paulina doing what Paulina does, which is throwing herself completely into protecting her daughter and fixing whatever is broken, even when it is not something that can be fixed by sheer force of will. It could be that Paulina is tracking down a specialist, finding a female oncologist who approaches things differently, someone with better bedside manner, who can actually connect with Chanel and help her feel less like a patient and more like a person going through something terrifying. And of course, the larger context here is that both Chanel and Johnny are leaving the show in the fall. The actors were let go, and we do not have a specific exit date yet, but Chanel's cancer storyline feels very much like it could be the vehicle that takes them both out of Salem. We will see how the writers handle that. Thursday is also the day Kate fully confesses to Roman, and this one has been building for a while. Roman had already started putting the pieces together and had actually apologized to Kate for accusing her, which is just absolutely brutal in hindsight because he was right. He was completely right, and Kate let him apologize for an accurate accusation. That is a particular kind of deception that cuts extra deep, and Roman is going to feel that. He trusted her. He corrected himself for her. And she let him feel bad about being right. So when Kate comes clean about her involvement in the whole Johnny and Bonnie book situation, Roman's reaction is going to be visceral. We are talking hands over his mouth, genuine shock, and then the anger that follows once the shock wears off. And Roman is going to bring up what he always brings up with Kate when she does this. They have been through so much, they have supposedly grown, and he thought they were finally done with the lying. Kate lying to his face is not a new story, but it always lands hard because Roman keeps choosing to believe she has changed, and Kate keeps proving that she has not changed quite as much as he hopes. Xander and EJ are sparring on Thursday too, and the setup for that confrontation is already in place. Kristen has been venting to Xander about EJ being insufferable. Gwen picked up on the fact that EJ spotted Xander and Kristen together and shared that information, and now Xander is likely connecting the dots and deciding he needs to go shut EJ up before this gets back to Gwen in a way that blows up his whole arrangement. Because Xander is very much enjoying his situation with Kristen right now, and he does not want Gwen's drama interrupting it. And EJ has been weirdly irritable about Xander in general lately. He was annoyed about Gwen having Xander over for sleepovers at the mansion. He was complaining to Gabby about his sister getting involved with Xander. And honestly, at this point, I have to wonder if some of EJ's irritation is less about principle and more about the fact that Xander seems to be having a considerably better time than EJ is right now. Nobody is writing EJ into any romantic storylines at the moment, and he is clearly feeling that absence. Friday, June 13th, Steve and Kayla show up for Stephanie, and this is the emotional gut punch of the week. It looks like Alex reached out to Stephanie's parents after the shooting because Steve and Kayla are at the apartment, and they're holding a crying Stephanie. And we're going to see Stephanie wake up from a nightmare about the incident, which tracks completely because that kind of thing does not just wash off. You almost shot someone in a half-asleep state. That is going to haunt her. And I genuinely hope that Steve takes that gun back or Jada confiscates it, because Stephanie is clearly not in a place right now where she should have a firearm within arm's reach at any given moment. Kat is feeding EJ more lies on Friday too. He is asking her about how she crossed paths with Clyde Weston, and Kat is constructing a whole false narrative about fake memories from Italy to make sure EJ does not start pulling the thread that leads to her ISA connection. And somehow in the middle of all of this manipulation and deception, Kat and EJ end up in a passionate kiss by the end of the week. Which, look, I think Kat is 100% using this to distract him and redirect his focus. She has a goal here, and getting too close to whatever EJ is figuring out is a threat to that goal. So kissing him is a tool. That is very much a Kat move. Alex is going to try to get Joy to see Reason on Friday because Joy looks like she is packing her bags to take baby Kelsey back to New York. And I cannot even be mad at Joy for that reaction. A bullet was fired in the direction of her and her child. No romantic interest in Alex is worth that level of risk, and Joy has every right to protect her daughter first and sort out her feelings about Alex second. Alex is going to have to do some serious work to convince Joy that Stephanie is not a permanent threat to their safety, and right now I am not sure he can make that case convincingly. Sean and Jada talk about their growing feelings while they are out on their date this week, and this feels like the official acknowledgement that something real is developing between them. And then Chad takes Belle and the kids, Thomas and Charlotte, to a Cubs game, and Chad and Belle share their first kiss after the game. The kids look genuinely happy to be out together with the two of them as a unit, which is sweet and also bittersweet because both of these characters have been through so much loss and they deserve something light and good for a while. Now, into the week of June 15th through the 19th. Leo is likely going to push Gwen to keep a closer watch on Xander and Kristen because the cover story about Titan and Demara having business together is not holding up under scrutiny. And if Gwen goes back to EJ for confirmation, and EJ tells her there is no legitimate business deal happening between those two companies, which there is not, then Gwen is going to have to confront the fact that Xander and Kristen played her. Leo may also decide to start doing some of his own digging to protect Gwen, even while she is still keeping him at arm's length emotionally. Leo following Kristen and Xander around trying to catch them is going to be entertaining, if nothing else. EJ confronts Kristen about consorting with the enemy, meaning Xander, and right now EJ just thinks this is a romantic situation that he finds offensive on principle. He has absolutely no idea that Kristen had murder on the agenda in those conversations with Xander. He does not know that she wanted Sophia to go after Johnny. And when all of that comes out, and it will come out, Kristen is going to be in a very dangerous position with EJ. Because there is a significant difference between my sister is sleeping with someone I dislike and my sister tried to have my son killed. EJ is going to need to process a lot when that full picture comes together. Liam Sela is coming back to Salem, and Brady is going to be the one who tracks him down as part of the research into helping Sarah figure out what happened with Destiny and her sister Clea. And once Ari gets a chance to corner Liam and demand answers about why he just ghosted her, the truth about what Gabby did is going to start coming into focus. That is a confrontation that has been a long time coming, and Ari deserves those answers. Rachel is going to be devastated when Brady and Kristen tell her about Sophia's death this coming week. And the specific fear Rachel expresses is heartbreaking. She is worried that if Bayview's doctors could not help Sophia, then maybe she herself will never truly get better either. That is a very real fear for a kid who has been through what Rachel has been through, and it is going to hit hard. Kat keeps ignoring Rafe's direction to stand down. Ralph continues testing Lexi and looking for ways to slow down whatever is progressing with her symptoms, and Dimitri is heading back to Salem with trouble written all over his return. His arrival is going to create immediate tension with Rafe, Gwen, and Leo, and given Dimitri's history with both Gwen and Leo, that meeting is not going to be warm or friendly. It is a lot of story coming at us fast, and I want to be there every step of the way with you breaking it all down. Make sure you are following Soap Dirt wherever you listen because we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and every major platform. Hit that subscribe button, leave us a review if you love what we do, and we will see you right back here for the next episode.